सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्तदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः, देवाय तस्मै नमः। We completed the chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, and we also started chapter 6 yesterday by Pujya Gurudev. He has given as we started the video talk on the yoga of meditation. So since we have completed chapter 5, and you may have some questions, you can ask me. Those who attended, those who just came today, don't need to bother about it. Because they don't even know how many chapters are there in Gita. Those who appear once in a while. But those who attended. Any questions? You have been given cue cards. If you don't have questions, I will start asking. So be careful. Shama, that I need the remote for this screen. Tell her. Okay, a question here. Dear Swamiji, simplistic as it may seem, can you please share a pearl to realize the goal of universal consciousness? I remind you that you should write your name. This person did it. No problem. But I'm just telling you. But this is not related to 5th chapter.
Is it? Swamiji, I did not attend, but I didn't know that was the rule, so my question had already been passed now, so I apologize.
No problem. I don't deny that. Yesterday we had a religious gathering here of various religions. It is universal consciousness, what you have written here. There is nothing called universal consciousness, really speaking. Because universe is inside that consciousness only, according to Vedanta. What we generally term as universal consciousness is a collective understanding. A person who has reached the pinnacle of his spiritual endeavor can recognize the nature of God. and probably you call that as universal consciousness. Such a person is capable of gaining that kind of maturity where he can have infinite compassion, unconditional compassion, and such a person is usually regarded as a saint. Atma aupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukam va yadi va dukkam sayogi sasukhi naraha. Sayogi param sayogi, yeah, he is called yogi. Paramomada is supreme one. Krishna says, I consider him as the Parama Yogi, who Atma Aupamyena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati. He looks at everyone's sorrow as his sorrow. Sukham va yadi va dukkham. Whether it is joy or sorrow of the people, he considers it as his own. Just like when a part of my body is aching, then I immediately rush to alleviate that without even asking, should I or should I not? You know? If you have a headache, you say, I will take care of it day after tomorrow. Do you do that? You immediately do something about it. In the same way, a person who has gained the highest maturity of spiritual nature cannot wait to serve if somebody is in trouble. That, yes, universal consciousness. And that is not as an act to be done. It is not a kartavya or it is not a duty. Tasya karyam na vidyate. To such a man, there is no duty as such. Just like a mother rushes to help the child when she is crying, you don't say, oh, as a mother, I have a duty to take care of the child. It is not that. It is that immediate response out of love. Immediate response that we give to our own body's aches and pains. In the same way, one who has gained that level of consciousness, of recognizing oneself operating through many people, and if there is any issue or any problem there, immediately he responds to it. That is universal consciousness. That is akin to God. So the whole spiritual practice is to gain Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha me pashyati tasyaham na vinashyami sacha me na vinashyati. Yaha mam pashyati sarvatra. He who sees me in everything. And sarvam cha mai pashyati, and he sees everything in me. Such a person has gained that God consciousness. So, obviously, we are all to proceed towards that goal, so to say. And that doesn't happen by outside in. It is inside out. Unless we clear ourselves from our own imperfections and impurities, this will not be possible. Actually, it is our own impurities which are the impediments for this. It is not the world. A Christ or a Buddha did not work from outside in. It is not that they served the world and realized God. No. They realized God, and as an outcome of that, they started serving. So the spiritual endeavor excels in this comparison to say, I serve the world and therefore I will become God realized. No, it should be because of one's goal is God realization. The service comes automatically. There are many people who have been serving the world but never attempted to purify themselves. Netas, politicians, and such other people, in the name of serving the world, they are serving their own bellies. So it is impurities of the within have to be overcome. As we overcome our own inner impurities, we have greater time and energy and availability to the world. When we are preoccupied with ourselves, whereas even to the near and dear one we are not available. Isn't that true? Some people who are so workaholic or so caught up in their name and fame and position and career and all, even for children they don't have time. They ask parents to come and take care of it. Our parents and his parents. Why? I don't have time. Why? I'm a CEO of a company. Right? No doubt you have to be, but immediately children and your own husband and wife, husband and children are not there to be taken care. What do you do with all the money that you have got? Not that you should not take care of your career, yes, but for whom? If your child is growing up and then young one, he wants care, and there is a joke which our Gurudev used to say, a lady, very rich lady, and then she had all the social contacts, very active in the social circles, and she had a babysitter for her child, and she was leaving her child to the babysitter to take care and goes to a club which serves the poor people and their children, and this babysitter child is there to be taken care by her. Imagine, what is she doing? Babysitter child she is taking her. What is the babysitter she is taking her? Why don't you do it at home? No, but that is name. My name will be there. I am a president of that club. Start at home. Everything will be fine. Hari Om, Swamiji, is it possible to attain spiritual bliss and explain how to stay in that bliss all the time? That which is not there in the beginning for sure and not there in the end, even while experiencing it is not there. We have an illusion of it. Could you please elaborate on that? How to do it? Single life or simple life? Single life? Simple. No. To that first one, we all breathe. Do you all breathe or not? Okay, I have a question about that. Do you breathe knowing that you are breathing, or you breathe without knowing it? Yes or not? Do you breathe knowing that you are breathing, or you breathe without knowing that you are breathing? Yes? No, you're not answering properly. Do you know or not? If you are asthma patient, you know every breath of it. Every breath is a teaching. See, when we breathe, it goes on, whether we pay attention or not. So also, the bliss in us is, the nature is Anand. But whether we are aware of it or not, that is where spiritual practice is. Yena Rupam, this in Kathopanishad very beautifully said, Yena Rupam Rasam Gandham Shabdhan Sparshams Chamaitunan Eteineva Vijanati Kimatra Parishishyate. Whatever experience that we go through cannot be without consciousness. What is referred here as Om, without the presence of consciousness, it is impossible to have any experience. And an experience that we take up through our sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, etc., indeed, they camouflage or whatever way you say, the nature of the self. Since our attention is on what we experience through the senses, the substrata that is there already, which is of the nature of bliss, is as though covered. When we don't preoccupy with the activities of the senses, the nature of the reality which is bliss by itself become manifest. Just like in sleep, but not sleep itself. In sleep also you enjoy. Because of what? Are you eating something? Are you seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, whatever? No. Then, so the nature of bliss is there. That is our own nature. And we are presently not able to comprehend that because mind is occupied. Yet, that is why Krishna says in 6th chapter, Sukham Atyantikam Yattat. The joy which is eternal. Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam. Beyond the senses, comprehensible by a fine intellect. Veti yatrana cha evayam stitaha chalati tattvataha. He who knows this doesn't move. You ask the question, how do I become aware of it? When others are are all gone. Where is silence? In the absence of sound. Is it that you create it? Where is space when things are not there? Do you create it? I want to create space. What do you do? Can you create space in this room? Yes or no? When you all go away, when chairs are removed, space is there. I don't want to create space. It's there. Occupied presently with so many other things. When those are gone, space is discovered. Similarly, self-discovery is when other things are moved out of our attention. So that is why practice of meditation is necessary for us to recognize that there is bliss within, in the absence of other preoccupations. Only when we get a glimpse of it, we know it. It is. And then it is a question of shifting your attention from other things to this. And by practice, one will be able to realize that constantly. So it is said that Adyantavanta Kaunteya Nateshu Ramate Buddha. That's what you asked the question. What was there, not there in the beginning, that which was not there, will not be there in the end, even now, it is only an appearance. That is the nature of illusion. Illusion is that which appears to be there so long as you see it. So long you give reality to your thoughts, it is real. A thought might have come into your mind. This morning, Starbucks coffee on the way to Balvihar will be nice. But you are already running late. So, therefore, your son says, I don't want to stand outside. You take me. For the past 2-3 weeks, I have been standing outside. It's not. You stand outside, not attending Swamiji's talk is one thing. But I standing outside is really bad. So, therefore, he rushed you here and you came and sat. Now, coffee thought is there, the back of your mind, and you are not paying attention. But so long as you don't pay attention, it has no reality as such. But now I told you, coffee, Starbucks, the green symbol comes to your head. So, you see, thought is there as though, so long as you give reality, the moment you give more and more reality, you get up and walk away. Illusion is that which appears to be there, and it is important for you to pursue the moment you pay attention to it. So also with respect to this world, because world is nothing but what is coming in the form of thoughts to our mind, otherwise there is no experience of the world. Just like in sleep, we have no experience of the world because there is no thought about it. So that which was not there before, that which shall not be there in the later, even now, it has no reality. You may experience, but no reality. Like blue sky. You see blue. Is it blue? Blue sky. I want to go to Florida with all mosquito bite. Blue sky. You go and look at the blue sky, but it's not sky, it's not blue. That's enough, huh? We have to close it sometime. I would like to get some practical tips on controlling anger. I think the whole chapter was all about that. I think. Janagiram? Desire to achieve desirelessness is also a desire, but it is self-cancelling. It cancels. It's like, I want to sleep, you go on thinking about it. At some point of time, you sleep. This is sleep. So when you go on thinking about it, but do not let go, you will not sleep. Right? That desire to sleep is also a desire. But that desire cancels itself when you sleep. You don't even know when it happens, right? In the same way, going beyond karma is also a karma, but that karma or desire cancels itself. Just like if you are burning a fuel, the fire that is burning because of the fuel, having burned the fuel, what happens to that fire? It burns itself. In the same way, anger can be controlled only by compassion. True renunciation is a concept that one has to cultivate over time, slowly conditioning our mind. With so many attractions and distractions, especially in this country. Why in this country? How do we sow the seed to our children? That's the reason. I am not bothered about my distraction. Please throw some light on this. So, you cannot avoid distractions because that is not created for your child. TV has so many channels, all are meant for you. Is it meant for you? If you put it on and want to watch it, yes, it is. But whether you see it or not, it goes on. In this part of the world, the movie theaters you go, even nobody is there, movie will be going on. Isn't it? So the world is, no. So whether the world is same for the man of knowledge or man of ignorance. It's a question of how we want to pursue it. So if your children have to get away from distractions, the parents have to work hard on that. In the sense, they should not be part of that. If you say, I want to see my serial, you don't see yours. That doesn't work. Saas bhi ek din bahuti, that I will watch. But your Star Wars you should not watch. That fellow said, why not? So if you want your child not to see, you also should not see it. But you cannot stop it. Because see, one more thing is, you can so long as the child is under your wings, in your home, yes, you can control. Afterwards, as Gurudev yesterday said, when Arjuna said, I don't want to fight, Krishna did not compel him to fight. He built up the logic in such a way, at the end of it, Arjuna said, I want to fight. How? Because he gave him the logic behind the whole thing. Why you should fight? The answer should come from himself. I want to fight. Nashto moha smudirlapta karishya vachanam tava. My delusion gone, now I know what to do, I will do it. So in the same way, you must build the maturity of the child, not saying do's and don'ts. At some point of time, they'll stop listening. You must build that logic, how that is not useful and productive to your life. Doing or getting distracted by all these things is not good for you. And that maturity when it comes, then you don't need, then you can, as you leave that child in the university, you are sure, you will not do it. Why? I know it is mature. If you are stopping forcefully the child, you'll wait for an opportunity to get out. How would my perception or understanding of divinity change from lowest to the highest spiritual journey? Please list the levels. In our Vedanta course, which I am conducting for the set of people, there are bhumikas given. 7 levels are given. Now, that's for the advanced learning. But the first one itself is very important. Auspicious resolve. One must feel the bondage. One must feel the limitation. One must feel how, by my own self-conceived ideas, I have come to bind myself with unreality. Can I have the children quiet, please, behind? They're talking more than what I say. Who is the teacher then? Teacher is also talking. So, at the first level, it is Shubha Ichcha, auspicious resolve. That auspicious, any resolve is only when you understand that you have to evolve. We take on January 1st resolve, next day is dissolve. Because we are never involved. So when the bondage is felt, the limitation is felt, the pain of being limited to our own, the dancing mind and the sense organs, when that is seen, perceived and understood, then yes, I want to get out of this. So that is the first step. Then listening to the scriptures, understanding the import of it. What is that which is pointed out? How logical it is. How to think about it. Then next one is vicharana, thinking about it. Consistently keeping it in his mind. Just like any profession that you have taken to practice, the teaching, when you go to a university or any other course, consistently they go on emphasizing, this is what it is, this is what it is. Like if you take math, for example, 1 plus 1 is 2. Why? You answer me, why? That's what it is. 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, you may give a logical answer also. Why it is called 3? That is what it is called. I mean, there is no particular reason why it is called 3 and not free. So, there are certain terminologies, certain things. I am just giving a very simple example. So, the logic behind that needs to be understood, and you have to think in that direction, not forcefully, by knowing, only to realize that is the way to think, to free yourself. So, that is vicharana, thinking in that direction. So, there are steps. So, at least to start with, Shubha Ichcha should come. Positive resolve, that I want to get out of this limitation. Then thinking about it. Then further pursuing that as a single goal. Then so many other steps. How we do pray to God, follow the rituals. It's hard for me to connect, but still it's hard for me to connect to God. How do I feel that connection with God? Please advise. So long as we consider God as an external reality, it is subject to connection and disconnection. Is it not true? I have a friend, let us say. How long you are going to be with that friend? That friend will be there. After some time, he will go into his way and I will go in my way. So you might have seen in your own life, so thick friend. Where are they now? So long as you consider God as an external reality, it is an external, subject to disappearance. It is said that once Ramana Maharshi in his ashram, one person came and said, Maharaj, I have come here today to your ashram to stay for a few days. Is that very good? And he said, I am a great bhakta of Lord Krishna. In fact, I talk to him every day. Ramana Maharshi looked at him, oh, is it so? Very good. Continue. 2 days later, he came and complained. What happened? Krishna is not coming to me here. It's all because of your fault. Right? Ramana Maharshi says, what do you mean? What did I do? No, because every day for the past so many years, I'm talking to him, and here he doesn't come. I'm going back. He went. So others who were there in the hall, they looked at Ramana Maharshi and then he smiled and said, you see, so long as Krishna or whoever it be, consider it as an external person, there is always this possibility of disappearance. Recognize him as your own self, then there is no question of you losing him anytime. This shift has to happen in every devotee. You no doubt you do the puja and you have all the upasana, etc. You do, no doubt. But recognize, internalizing that presence of a God alone will assure that you never lose him. Keeping it outside is a good upasana, a practice. If someone is extremely irritating in work, how to control yourself not to pick up a fight with that person. There were two brothers who were living together in a joint Hindu family. And of course their wives were all cooking every day, both of them. And the mother was also there, the mother-in-law, so to say. And it so happened, one day the wife of an elder son, she said, I think your younger brother is jealous of you. You earn more money than him. Your father has given more rights to you. You have the property in your name, whatever. So the elder brother said, no, I don't think so. My brother I know so well. You don't tell me. No? And one day it so happened, the food that he ate, the elder brother, was not tasting good. And over a period of time, it became worse. So he asked, nowadays, who is cooking the food? You, mother? No. Your wife of the younger brother, she is cooking. Why is it so, bitter and things like that? I don't know. Then they say like that. You know what it means. Indicating something indirectly. I don't know what she puts. I cannot do it that like you people can do that. I don't know. Ultimately, he had a stomach problem and he went to the doctor and said, So doctor, what's the problem? The food has become bitter every day, and then now it is so bad I can't even eat properly. The wife of the younger brother, she's doing something, you have to do something about it. I said, what can I do about that? You have to test it. But everybody else is eating, it's okay, the same food, but I am only having this problem. Open your mouth. Open. Rotten teeth. So the doctor smiled and said, problem is not outside. The wife of the younger brother has nothing to do with this. None of them have anything to do with this. It is your rotten teeth. Similarly, if I say I am getting irritated, others are all fine with the same person or same environment. You get irritated. This is the problem. The irritation is because I have an irritating mind. An angry person looks at everybody with anger and finds situations that are angry. Isn't that? If your mind is in a joyful, happy mood, even if the other person is angry, you will overpower that. But if your mind is sensitive, very upset, very angry, very irritated, all the time, wherever you go, whomever you meet, they all irritate you. So instead of blaming or trying to change the world outside, let us ask the first question, am I unhappy with myself? If you are wearing a dark glass, the world won't be bright. Right? So let us first ask the question, what is irritating me, in me? Then you will find that problem started here. For a grihastha, how does one maintain balance between, last question, pursuing spiritual study in external world? With time, the blessings from one impacts the other. Learnings from one impacts the other. Yes, true. There should be a balance between the workaday world and spiritual study. That is why in our Shastra very clearly says, Grihasthashrama is meant for service, serving one near and dear, as well as, continuing one's pursuit of spiritual studies and spiritual study and meditation at a moderate level. And once you have fulfilled your immediate responsibilities, because responsibilities will never end for a grihastha, immediate responsibility of educating the child and sending him or her to the university, and then only that much, don't get worried about get married and all, no, they will take care of it. Once that is done, once immediately they have been released from your hand, then you can increase your spiritual practices. And once you have, your wife also is mature enough to understand what you are doing, leave her alone. Meaning, not leave her alone to her. Let her also practice. That's called vanaprastha. Don't suddenly jump to the other side by all, I don't care, I don't bother about any of it. No. Responsibilities have to be taken care, fulfill that, and then proceed. Now we have our children performing.